Hello guys and welcome back to another Premier League predictions video. Today we return with Game Week 8 after some pretty crazy scores in the previous Game Week 7, which we'll check out at the end of the video. But to kick off our predictions for Game Week 8, we start at Kenilworth Road as Luton, who picked up their first victory of the season against Everton, take on a very informed Tottenham side who got that late winner against Liverpool. For this one, I've gone for Spurs to win it by 3-0. Despite Luton getting that first win of the season, Tottenham are in great form. They look very, very good at the moment, and I think they'll just have too much quality for Luton. Heading into Game 2, we have another of the newly promoted side as Burnley take on Chelsea at Turf Moor, and I've gone for Chelsea to win it. They've not been in very good form recently, but they did win against Brighton in the Carabao Cup. At the time of recording, they've not actually played their Matchday 7 game as they take on Fulham on Monday night, but I've gone for a win just by a single goal to nil for Chelsea. Game 3 sees two of the out of form sides taking on one another at Goodison Park as Everton host Bournemouth, desperate for a win. Everton after that loss to Luton Town. That is a really shocking result for Everton, and they've got another big relegation 6-pointer potentially here as they take on Bournemouth, and I've gone for a 1-1 draw in this one. Tough one to predict because I thought Everton would beat Luton and they lost, so again, Everton being at home, you'd think they'd potentially win. Bournemouth also not on a great run of form, so I've settled for 1 apiece. Game 4 sees Fulham take on Sheffield United at Craven Cottage, and I've gone for the Cottagers to win it by 2-0. It's the same scoreline as I went for Sheffield United to lose to West Ham in Game Week 7, which came in and got me a nice 3-pointer, so I've gone for the same today. Game 5 sees Manchester United returning to Old Trafford as they take on Brentford after their disappointing 1-0 loss to Roy Hodgson's Crystal Palace. Really poor start to the season for United, and I've gone for them to drop points again here with a 1-1 draw with Brentford. Speaking of Crystal Palace, they're up next in Game 6 as they host Nottingham Forest. Again, I've gone for a 1-1 draw as I think the two sides are pretty evenly matched. Palace off the back of that 1-0 victory against Manchester United, and they're generally very solid at Selhurst Park. Forest have also had a pretty decent start to the year, and I think both sides will be quite happy with a point in this one. Heading into Sunday, and Game 7 sees De Zerbi's Brighton taking on Liverpool, two of probably the most exciting teams to watch in the Premier League at the moment, but I've gone for Liverpool to win it by 3-1. They played really well against Spurs with 9 men for quite a long period in that game, and they were down to 10 from early in the first half. Nearly got away with a point, but of course Matip scored that late own goal to give Spurs the win. I have gone for them to return to winning ways here, as I think Brighton have been leaking quite a few goals. They've played a lot of games already this season with the Carabao Cup, obviously the Europa League starting, and the Premier League, so I've gone for Liverpool to win it. Game 8 sees David Moyes' West Ham side taking on a very informed Newcastle team. As I mentioned earlier, West Ham did get the win in Matchday 7 against Sheffield United, but a really tough game for them here against Newcastle. I think they'll give them a really good run for their money, but I have gone for Newcastle to nick it by 2-1. They've been in very good form, won again in Matchday 7, and I think they will continue winning here. Game 9 sees Wolves hosting Aston Villa, both off the back of brilliant victories in Game Week 7. Wolves beating the champions Man City at Molineux by 2-1, and Aston Villa absolutely smashing Brighton and putting 6 past them at Villa Park. So I've gone for more goals here today with a 3-1 victory for Aston Villa. They've been scoring goals for fun. Ollie Watkins, who's quite a purple patch player, seems to be in good form, and Moussa Diaby's been great as well. They look very good going forward, so I've gone for the 3-1 victory for the Villa. And then finally, the biggest game of the fixture sees Arsenal taking on Man City at the Emirates. It was a cracking game there last year, and similarly to the result last year, I've gone for Man City to win it by 2-1. Obviously had that slip up against Wolves, but they're still the best team in the league, and probably for me the best team in the world. Arsenal have looked a little bit ropey at times this year, and Man City are just so good in these big games that I've gone for them to win it by 2-1. And our joker game this week is the first game of the fixture, which is the early kickoff on Saturday with Tottenham travelling to Kenilworth Road. Obviously, we've gone for a 3-0 victory. There weren't really too many games that I liked the look of, so I've gone for Spurs as my joker as they've been in very good form. So that is our predictions for Game Week 8. Let's head over to the predictions website, see how we got on in Game Week 7 and where we're sat in the league standings. So we will start with the league table, where you can see we have dropped down a place into 6th, but it's still very, very congested. We're only 7 points off the top and 3 points off the money spaces. So 61 points on the board I'm pretty happy with. Still above my dad by a single point, but my friend Griffin in 3rd, absolutely flying, had a really good game week 7 and has moved to within just 3 points of top spot. You can see, as I mentioned, Griffin with 10 points on the board has done really well. I'm doing okay, sort of mid-table with 6 points from the 8 games, but it's actually 6 points from 9 because I got none for the Forest-Brentford game, which was played on Sunday, which is when I'm recording. I know that Griffin got that exactly correct at 1-1, and there were quite a few who had 1-1 in that, so I'd expect we might actually drop down a few more places from where we are, as it's so congested at the moment. So that was a real big loss for us in that Forest game. But here is a full breakdown of the fixture. You can see we've done pretty average. We got the massive 3-pointer for West Ham against Sheffield United, but annoyingly there was a few games in here, like the Newcastle game. If they got one more, that would have been a lovely 3-pointer. And of course, Man City losing ruined a lot of people's jokers on Saturday. There's only one 6-pointer, which was for West Ham to beat Sheffield United by 2-0. And if I'd gone for that as well, I would have been absolutely buzzing. As I say, the Forest-Brentford game has already been played, and there was a lot of people who went for 1-1, so lots of 3 points flying around, but none for me. We've got Fulham v Chelsea on Monday night and Luton v Burnley on Tuesday, so I'm hoping for some 3-pointers, but looking at my scores, both of these were sort of punts that I went for, so I'm not feeling particularly confident. So I do think there's quite a high chance that we will drop down a couple of places. We could be down in like 10th, 11th by the actual end of Game Week 8. So a big fixture coming up, and I need to get back on track. But guys, that is where we will leave it for today. Let me know what your predictions would be down in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one soon. Peace.